Well, I'm back here. This is episode 14 of Let Us Interrupt You. I believe this is episode 14. Might even be episode 15. I am Joseph Alvo. Mike is not here, but he does say hello. I had to do the show without him today, just for today, because, I got a lot going on, and I'm not sure what his work schedule is today. And plus, the NFL playoffs are on today. We have a lot to cover. As far as NFL playoffs go, a lot of stories that came out through the week here right now. Tukka Rask is back with the Bruins. He got the win over the week against the Philadelphia Flyers 3-2. The Bruins have been still on a streak here so far. They're on a pretty good damn streak. And I thought to myself, Tukka might have slowed that down due to the fact that it was his return. But he was sharp in this game, not really that sharp. I thought he was decent at best based on his performance. The Celtics overall were good this week. They beat the Pacers this week. They had some pretty good wins this week. Tatum and Brown went off in a game. They had Brown had 34. I believe Tatum had 33 for the Celtics. Not much has changed with the Celtics, really. I'm just going to be honest right now. I'm glad they're at 500. I'll leave it at that. They're 21-21. Unfortunately, they got beat up last night by the 76ers last night. I couldn't even think of who they were playing last night. The Mavericks Mavericks killed the Grizzlies last night, 112-85. That was a shocker last night. But the 76ers beat the Celtics last night, 111-99. The Warriors beat the Bulls last night, 138-96. They lost Zach LaVine to a knee injury. MRI should come out as of today of how he would be the rest of the way. The Bulls are in trouble. That's all I got to say. The Bulls are in trouble. Without LaVine and that offense seems to be one-dimensional right now. I think when everyone's on the same page and everyone's, doing their thing, it works. Unfortunately, that's not how it went last night for the Bulls as they drop another one. They lost two big, huge games in a row. They lost to the Brooklyn Nets Wednesday night, and they lost to the Warriors on Friday. Tonight, they're playing the Celtics today, later on in the afternoon. Bruins also are in action later on today. If anyone's curious, they're playing the Nashville Predators today. But last night, the Warriors killed the Bulls. There's no other way of looking at it. It was all Golden State in this game. In fact, I don't think they relinquished the lead once in this game to the Bulls. And that's what's funny to me. And really, if you think about it, Steph Curry actually had a better week shooting. He was 4 for 10 for 3, which is good. 7 for 15 overall. Had 28 minutes in the game. He had 19 points. Wiggins had 21 points. Kleminka, if I'm even saying the name right, actually was the star of the game because he actually had 25 points coming off the bench for the Warriors. Not much to Klay Thompson to speak of here in this game. In fact, if anything, he didn't even play. That's a story right now. Iguodala had 5 points. Lee had 11 points for the Warriors as the Warriors beat the Bulls 138-96. Mavericks beat the Grizzlies 112-85 last night. That was in the game last night. That one of the Friday night games, I should say. Excuse me. Suns beat the Pacers 112-94. Heat beat the Hawks 124-118. Kings beat the Rockets 126-114 as of last night. And the Pistons beat the Raptors 103-87. I always bring this up about the Celtics. They have a clue. They do. And I think at the end of the day, it is what it is with the Celtics. We all thought they would get on the same page. Everybody thought they would be so interesting to watch. But, once again, as usual, they get your hopes up. They think they got a good thing going, and they drop another game. Look, I know it's one game they dropped. They're one game down below 500. But, let's be real here for a minute. They're going against a real contending team in the 76ers. I don't know if they're finals contenders, but they're a real playoff contender. Celtics are kind of a fraud team. They are. So, to me, it was already over by the end of the first quarter. They were down 32-14. At that point, it was just let's be real here for a minute. Brown only had 21 points last night, 7 for 18 shooting. He didn't play great last night. Tatum was, again, a complete dumpster fire. He was 2 for 7 in the game, even though he had 20 points. Look, I'll give Tatum and Brown credit. They are getting the points they need to get right now, but that's just it. You had no Marcus Smart last night because of the left quad injury he suffered in the game against the Pacers when Sabonis need him. Brad Stevens was on Touching and Rich the other day saying that, how it was. I don't know if he was trying to refer it as dirty. To me, I think it might have been. I doubt that it was. I doubt that had any intent behind it. Either way, he's not the vocal point of the Celtics defense. I mean, he might as well be, according to some. I don't think he really. I mean, he's a good defender, but I don't think he's just sole vocal point of that defense. Although after last night, it seemed like it was because they just. It seemed like he's more of a vocal point on the offensive side of the ball because they just got absolutely destroyed in this game. You could argue right now that 76ers could have won by 40. That's how bad the Celtics were playing last night. Overall, Neesmith had 10 points off the bench. Look, and Pritchard had 17 points. Look, I mean, the reality of it is right now is that the Celtics right now are what they are because they are just a useless team, period. They can't fix it. I've said get rid of some key players. Tatum, they're never going to get rid of. But I think Tatum is the one that should be gone from here. He's too much of a ball hog, too much of a liability on offense. You don't know if this guy's going to jack up too many threes or not. You don't even know this guy's going to have a streak of great games. And to me, 20 points, 2 for 7 3-point shooting here. I just think, really? That's all I got to say about that is really. It's pathetic just watching his team play basketball half the time. It really is. Anyway. So, but today's about the NFL playoffs. As I'm going to, move on from that because I didn't really watch the Bruin game really. But I will say Tukka Rask is back. Does he look like his old form? I don't know. There's just so much there, but I'm not going to get into the whole Tukka Rask thing because he is back. They'll be playing later on today at 1 o'clock against the Nashville. I believe they're on the road at Nashville. I think they are on the road. But anyway, but that's the story. That is the legit story going on today. Is that they're home today. Sorry, I'm actually wrong. They're actually home today. So, but yeah, the Nashville Predators are playing at the Boston Bruins. Let's see what happens. This is a tough team. Going into Boston, can they survive? I say maybe. They sent Swayman to Providence. They had Ullman play the other night. Rask was a backup. Ullman obviously took care of business and took care of Montreal. Is it too soon for Rask to be back? No. In fact, the guy should have been back a couple of months ago, really. But, I mean, it is what it is. Rask was holding out for another contract. Big whoop. What a surprise, right? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. They got him to a deal. He was on the practice squad for the Providence Bruins the other day. I mean, he did good there. He did good for the Providence Bruins there back in the AHL. But, I mean, there's not really a big story with Tukka. Other than it just makes me puzzled of why this guy is the way he is when it comes to, like, if he doesn't play for Boston, he'll retire. There are plenty of teams that are going to want this guy that's on a championship caliber level. The problem is when he gets to a certain point that he just doesn't play well, he waves the white flag early. He's like Aaron Rodgers with that. And that's annoying. I will say that. That is kind of annoying. But when it really comes down to it, I'm not a strong believer. I'm not a strong believer this guy will be the vocal point of this Bruins run. Whether it's Bergeron's last year or Rask's last year, I just look at those guys and say to myself, you know what? They're just here to have fun. If they win, they win. They don't, they don't. To me, I think Bruce Cassidy's job's on the line. You convince this guy to come back. You re-sign this guy to another contract. If they don't make a deep run here, if they're once again a second-round elimination or they're just one and done out of the playoffs, I think Bruce Cassidy's going to get fired. And if you want my honest opinion, I think this is just a very, lackluster Bruin team. They show you some flashes. They've had some big games. They beat the Lightning. They beat the Capitals last week. They beat Montreal this week. I mean, there's not much there to speak of, really, when it comes to the Bruins because they give you what they give you on a daily basis. They do. The question is now are they Stanley Cup Finals contenders? I mean, let me know in the comment section if you want to comment on this page. Are the Bruins Stanley Cup? Let me try it again. Are the Bruins a Stanley Cup final contender? right now I say no. They're playoff contenders. Don't get me wrong. They're certainly in the playoff conversation. But as far as can they make a deep run, that is yet to be seen. And is it Bruce Cassidy's last year? If you want to put that in the comment section, if you want to put that in your, I mean, obviously I won't get a lot of comments on this because people are going to be looking at this, not looking at this right away. But for people who are, engage, enlighten me. Convince me why this is Bruce Cassidy's not his last year. Convince me why the Bruins are Stanley Cup final contenders. Convince me. Because right now I'm not convinced. I'm not, I don't know why Siri just went up just now on my phone or whatever that was. Anyway, so enough about that. Enough about the Boston Bruins. We were going to get into the NFL playoff predictions as of right now. I am submitting my predictions as of now anyway. I don't know. I probably should text Mike to see whether or not he has predictions of his own, but I don't think he's going to be up yet. He's not an early bird like I am, although I'm not really much of an early bird either. But I won't get my predictions as of right now. I guess I'll have Mike give me his predictions later on. He'll tell me if he was right or wrong here. I'm sorry I'm doing this without him, but I had to do it today because I have no time after today to do it. Got a birthday party to go to, and the playoffs start at 4:30. So go figure. I mean, I could have done a watch along with him today, but I don't know the kid's schedule. I don't know if he's working today. He probably isn't. But I am back from New Hampshire, if anyone was wondering. I was in New Hampshire skiing the week, and it was a fantastic week of skiing. You know, at first it was freezing rain, really, really cold temperatures, wind chill at like -15. You know, probably -10 at some points on the days I wasn't skiing. But when I was there, it was nice. It was a nice, easy, comfortable 25, 22 degrees. Like I can ski in that, you know, and that was just on the surface, really below the mountain. So on the mountain, it was like 10, 15. I'm still comfortable with that either way. And it was 20 or 25 on the mountain too. So it wasn't like it was bad as it was. But when I was there between Sunny River and up in Newry, Maine and Loon and Lincoln, New Hampshire, great skiing there. It's great when you're there on the weekdays. It really is, because there's not a lot of people there. You don't have to worry about, you know, going at a certain pace that people do for themselves, or worry about who knows how to ski on a certain trail or not. But to me, like that, I enjoy skiing. I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and hopefully I can do another 20 or 40 plus years. So I mean, that's all I got to say about that. But as far as the trip goes, I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time. I was able to see my father. Shout out to him. Shout out to Paul Oliver. I could kick his ass at skiing, but I had trouble kicking his ass at pool. So that's that. But yeah, it was a great time. But my one critique about that trip was they need more snow. They need a big giant dump of snow in New Hampshire and Maine, because it seems like they just didn't have a lot of snow, which it wasn't like it was bad to the point where it didn't coverage, but they put enough snow in there for the snow machines. But they need a big snow dump. They do. And hopefully they get in this Martin Luther King weekend. Hopefully they do. Anyway, so to my NFL predictions, today's NFL playoffs wildcard weekend. 2 games on the slate tonight. Starting today, the Oakland Raiders Oakland Raiders. I keep calling them the Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders will be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, 5th seed versus 4th seed. The Raiders got in the playoffs after their Week 18 win over the Chargers in dramatic fashion, game of the year type of feel, and really doing for the late great John Madden, who was a former Super Bowl winning head coach for the Raiders. And here in this case here, the Bengals haven't had a win since 1990 in their last playoff win. It's been over 3 decades. To me, I think this is the Raiders' win. I think they keep this run going for John Madden. At least they make something out of it. They're not one and done. Derek Carr's got some experience. This is his first playoff start, though, because the last time the Raiders were in the playoffs, he didn't start because he was injured. You got Joe Burrow in there. He might give you something there. He might give you we might see a high-scoring game, Nice little duel between the two guys. But I look at the experience on the Raiders side of things, the experience in coaching, the experience pretty much in everything, really. And I look at the Cincinnati Bengals and I look at Joe Burrow, the nerves are going to be kicking in, new different type of feel than just an ordinary regular season game. He's going to throw you at least 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game. But this will probably be the first time that Joe Burrow's ever lost by doing that, because I believe the Raiders will win this game. It may even take overtime, but I'm picking the Raiders to win this game. I just go by the experience, and I just go by the fact that the Raiders' defense, pass rush, has been getting really good, really hot, really fast. And I just look at the offensive line. I don't trust it against that Raider defense. I don't even trust the Cincinnati defense against the Raiders. So there you go. Patriots-Bills on tonight. You know, I was originally going to go with the New England Patriots here. I was. There's a lot of injuries backing up this team. I'm not sure really if I should go with New England here or I should go with Buffalo here. Because, because it's tough, because I'm not sure if Buffalo is really going to drop this game at home. I just, I find it hard to believe. So far we know now what we know now, which is Isaiah Wynn is out. He ain't playing. And I say honestly that actually might even help New England with this one, just for the heck of it, because they might just use Ted Karras. I don't know who they're going to have at left tackle, because Karras is a good left guard. Adrian Phillips is questionable. Hightower is questionable. And Myers is questionable. And Jalen Mills is out. All I got to say to that is good. Because Jalen Mills, where has he been? Where's he been? Because to me, I just look at Jalen Mills and I say to myself, like, this is just the way this guy is. He's either here or he's not there. And defensively, he's not that, like, he's been getting better. I will say that he's been getting better covering. But I just think to myself, it's not that he's a liability on defense. I'm not saying that. But he's just a guy who's just there. He's doing the best he can, but he's not at his best. I thought he was more at his best in Philadelphia, but I just think here he just hasn't been. And J.C. Jackson, look, you can't go man-to-man with this guy. Otherwise, that's it. But I got to say this right now about the Patriots right now. As far as the deep, I want to see Patriots-Packers in a deep playoff run. I want to see New England go to the AFC title game and face Kansas City. I just look at Josh Allen at home. Buffalo's undefeated at home since he's been the starting quarterback in the playoffs. Obviously, he's been the only starting quarterback for this team so far. It's tough. I'm leaning towards the Patriots. I'm leaning towards the Bills. It's a toss-up to me. But I just look at New England right now and I say to myself, they got to finish this one through. And I think Mac Jones will throw a little bit more in this game. I think Josh Allen will choke in the playoffs. He's never good in cold weather anyway. He's like Peyton Manning, only he's also got the Brett Favre mentality. He's the ultimate gunslinger. But I think in this game here, I think New England wins. Upset in Buffalo. They'll upset the Division 8 AFC East champs 2 years in a row in Buffalo. New England advances. And they'll be playing Tennessee. Now, the Sunday edition, obviously tomorrow, you got the Eagles taking on the Bucs in Tampa, taking on the defending champions. A lot of people say this is a prime upset. I don't see it. I don't see Tom Brady losing a playoff game at home, especially to a Philadelphia Eagle team that just barely got in there in the first place. My prediction is Philadelphia loses, and they'll cover the spread because they're 12-point underdogs. You can't bet against Tom Brady. Yes, there's no AB. Yes, there's no Chris Godwin. You still got Mike Evans. You still got Gronk. Fournette's coming back, and you got Levante David. That's all I got to say. The Bucs are going to win this one. San Francisco 49ers are taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. 49ers are clinched the 6th seed after beating the Rams last weekend. The Rams barely won their division. Not convincingly, really. Not really a way for the Rams to really go out, really, but it is what it is, right? Everyone say the 49ers are going to upset the Dallas Cowboys. I just don't see it. To me, I don't trust Jimmy G against Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott at home with Dallas as a playoff team, they're undefeated. They haven't lost a game. Fact of the matter is, I trust Dallas more. Or actually, I'm sorry, Dak's not undefeated. He actually lost a game to Green Bay 5 or 6 years ago. I'm sorry. But you get my point. I trust Dak more in this game. I trust the home team more. I trust Dallas in this one. As good as San Francisco really is with Samuel and Ayuk and Kittle, I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in the 49ers right now going a deep run. So I'm picking Dallas to win this one. The Sunday night edition, the primetime edition for this playoff matchup right now is the Steelers and the Chiefs. And it's Big Ben's last playoff game. And you want to know something? He's one and done. Give me Kansas City. I don't trust that. I don't trust Pittsburgh's offense at all in this game. Kansas City is gonna light this team up. That is for sure. Whether Tyreek Hill plays or not, he's been ruled as questionable. The Chiefs are just gonna light him up again. This might as well be a bye for them. The Pittsburgh Steelers are done. They got in by default because they're the 7th seed, and the Chargers couldn't win. That's why. That's why it is what it is. Indy could have dropped a seed or two, or the Raiders could have dropped a seed. Could have been a 7th seed either way because the Colts lost, and technically the Colts couldn't get into the playoffs because the Raiders beat them. But yeah, this was just pure luck by Pittsburgh, and the fact that Lamar Jackson didn't play for the Ravens. I'm not saying that Lamar would have won if they would have beaten Pittsburgh, because they would have never beaten Pittsburgh with Lamar Jackson. But they got into by default. They're one and done. They're basically the new 6th seed when the new 6th seed was created. You're not going to see a lot of upsets, and when they do, it's because the other team is probably better. But the 7th seed is like the 8th seed in the NBA. You're in there by default. You might get a first-round upset. You might not. The 7th seed is one of those seeds where you won't see an upset coming out of that seed for a long time. And the Steelers, as far as I'm concerned, Big Ben, I'm sorry. He's done. He's not a gunslinger. He's not a Brett Favre type of gunslinger. He's overweight. He's fat. He's gonna lose. And that's it. That's it for the Pittsburgh Steelers there. The Monday Night Football edition for the NFL playoffs. You got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the LA Rams. All I gotta say about the LA Rams is this: they're one and done too. I mean, glad I had some water there. The Rams clinched the division barely. They were lucky the Cardinals lost the game to the Seahawks. That's even more motivation now at this point. People saying that, how they have no chance, how the Rams are going to do it at home. But you got to remember, Matthew Stafford's not had a lot of playoff experience. Not really a lot of playoff games under his belt. In fact, he's only had 3 or 4 games, and all of them were losses. And to me, J.J. Watt's back. He's going to unleash in this game. And the Cards are going to pick up the win, in my opinion. I don't trust Matthew Stafford. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a great impression in his first playoff game. You got D-Hop there. You got A.J. Green. And it seems like everyone's tired of Jalen Ramsey's crap. Jalen Ramsey seems like he's almost fighting his teammates almost every time instead of the other team. And in this case here, I just don't trust Matthew Stafford. I can't bet on him in the playoffs. I really can't. Kyler Murray, it's not going to really be about Kyler Murray in this game. It's going to be about the whole team itself, offensively and defensively here. But J.J. Watt being back is a big thing. It helps the defense out a little bit more. Cardinals will win a close one in L.A. I'd say by a field goal maybe at best. So that's my prediction. Rams are one and done. It's a big failure for them this season because they put all their chips in there and they're just going to end up disappointing a lot of people. That's all I got to say. So NFL head coaches that were fired this week. You got David Culley, who was let go by the Houston Texans. Look, he was one and done. If anybody really thought he was going to keep his job, you're nuts. And it's not a race thing, really, but it was just a fill-in until they made Deshaun Watson happy. They figured, well, Watson's in trouble anyway. We'll just suspend him ourselves, make him inactive for as much time as needed for this team until the right opportunity comes. Watson wanted to be traded. There was a no trade clause in his contract. He signed an extension with the team. And then brought in David Culley because it was a Nick Caserio call. And I think, honestly, Watson wasn't happy about it. Really, what I think he really wanted was either to leave Miami or trade Culley to Miami for Brian Flores. And now Brian Flores now has the golden ticket now at this point because him and Jerod Mayo are the leading candidates right now for the job. And I got to be honest with you right now, there's a better chance of Brian Flores not getting this job and Mayo getting this job than anything else. And I just think to myself, it's just going to be another failed experiment in Houston. It's the new coaching carousel down there. Cleveland used to be that. Now it's Houston. That's what the Houston Texans are now at this point. A crappier version of the Cleveland Browns when they were bad. Except you have a star quarterback who should not be subjected to this. David Culley had some shock wins. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Titans in Tennessee. They went toe-to-toe with New England. They almost beat the Patriots. They had a lot of shocking wins. They really did. They really did shock a lot of people. I mean, they were 4-13 this year. It's not a great record. Hell, the record sucks. The record speaks for itself. Culley had some dumb decision-making, when it came to going for things on certain things. I think, personally, he cost himself in that game against the Patriots. Mac Jones did get his comeback win. They were down by 13, and it was I'm not sure if they were trying to go for it on fourth down. It was a delayed game. I don't know what the hell happened. But special teams were terrible in this game for him. And the blame was on Culley for sure. There was no question about that one at all. But, everyone's talking about how this is a African-American issue and, how there's not a lot of African-American coaches in the league. And that is true. There isn't a lot of them, really. But if you think about it, really, there's not really a lot of black players out there who are pining for those coaches. If you think about it really right now, they're not in uproar. They're not going woke about the whole thing. You notice that, right? Because black players tend to not really bat an eye for their head coaches. The ownership on it, people are looking at it from a minority standpoint. It's more of a minority standpoint for the GM and ownership here. Coaches, you could say, it's like, are they really going for that job? Are they comfortable where they are? And I gotta be honest here about the whole thing. I think there'll be more people available for this Houston Texans job. I think Todd Bowles will be going soon. I think there's a lot of intrigue with him going somewhere. Brian Leftwich will probably get a job. My predictions right now is that Culley won't be fired to the point where he's completely forgotten. He'll get a job somewhere in the NFL. And who knows? Maybe be 4 or 5 black head coaches in the NFL. I just look at David Culley's standpoint, and he was just a fill-in. It was not a race thing, so don't worry about it. The NFL's not being racist. They're just being, the Texans are just being realistic here. Deshaun Watson didn't want you to hear. We only did it to punish him, really, for the sex scandals, really, that were happening a long time ago. Because these scandals were happening way before Culley even got hired. Let's be real here for a minute. They only came out publicly weeks later. But the reality is that he didn't want to play for Culley. He wanted to get traded. Nothing against Culley. But you notice that Deshaun Watson was not happy in Houston. D-Hop was gone. There was nobody really to throw to, really. Brandon Cooks didn't really show up there right away. And it is what it is. But this is the long list of coaches right now that got fired from the NFL recently this week. Joe Judge basically was out the door because he never really had the control that he wanted. He was told he was going to be re-signed with the team. He made some bad decisions, and it led to his firing. But I think he got a raw deal out of it because he was getting less money to come back and coach the following year. And I guess Mara, his nephew, has a little bit more power than he does, and Joe Judge didn't like it, so he went out on a blaze of glory, as many people would say, as PFT would say, I'm part of my take. He went out on a blaze of glory. I never was a fan of that movie, but in this case here, I've heard that reference so many times when it comes to certain situations. But I think Joe Judge here was never going to make it here, because nobody wanted him. That's the thing. Like, nobody wanted Urban Meyer, nobody wanted Joe Judge. It's too bad it took this long, though, because I think a lot of people were figuring that this was going to happen. This is, by the way, 7 head coaches that have been fired in the NFL. Or, I'm sorry, 6. 6. It was 6 head coaches that were fired in the NFL this past week. And look, it is what it is. But in my opinion, now going forward, I just have to say this. There's not a lot of head coaches out there right now that are looking at the Giants and saying, oh, this is appetizing. Because Jones is staying there. And unless Russ wasn't changing his mind and the Seahawks changing their mind and they want to go back and they want to go to see and they want to do the trade in New York, whoever takes that job is gonna have to draft another quarterback and bench Jones. And I don't know if a lot of people are motivated in doing that. I'm not even sure if Josh McDaniels wants to do that. And speaking of Josh McDaniels, he's really been the headline news this week. Really, there's been a story about him this week that really surprised me. Really, is that ex-Bronco linebacker? This is I forgot his name. I think his name is DJ Williams, and I believe that is his name. Claimed that Josh McDaniels was cheating while he was coaching there in 2009-2010. This was a story that was brought up right now. This is he made an appearance on I'm in the Elite podcast this week. He made the report. He made the claim, and this is what he really had to say about this whole thing. He claimed that the Broncos were filming their opponents' practice sessions, giving the team advantages during the games. Of course, this essentially did the same thing that the New England Patriots were doing in the Spygate scandal. These claims were made in 2010. The claims were made against the Broncos. They were legally filmed the 49ers practice while both teams were practicing at Wembley Stadium. This is when they were playing in London. This is where the Broncos were fined $50,000. I think this is why Josh McDaniels eventually got fired. I think it had nothing to do with Tim Tebow. Now, the more I've been looking into it now, so to me, it's not that surprising. It's kind of disappointing, actually, if you ask me. And I can see why McDaniels at the time is not really a high candidate for everybody. Not really a lot of people are interested in because he's basically pulled that little trick on the Colts where he was going to co-coach there, but he changed his mind last minute. But this is not surprising. This is not surprising from a standpoint right now where Josh McDaniels right now was all innocent in the whole thing. I was trying to figure out there's a quote from here, but he was claiming that there was that. And really, I actually forgot about the fact that Broncos were fined $50,000 for the Spygate. They were filming their practices, really. And I gotta be honest with you about the whole thing. I never really understood that. Like, what's the point of filming somebody's practice at this point? You could just easily look at the film. You could easily, and really, if you think about it, really, you can copy their plays while you're practicing. You could. To me, Spygate, is just another advantage that that NFL teams have. They could do it to each other. And I think it'd be hilarious if all 32 teams did it to one another. But yeah, he made the claim that happened. This report came out 2 days ago, actually. When I first heard about this report, I was actually amazed, really, because it stunned me because I'm not surprised by any of this, really. I'm really not. Because it's like, really, let's be honest here for a minute. Like, is it really that surprising? I don't think it is. I don't think it's surprising at all that McDaniels did this. And I think, honestly, he made a good impression on the Broncos because he wanted to better the team. But the team that he had wasn't really that great. In fact, they weren't really that convincing either way. They weren't really a team out there. Like, let's be honest. When they went 6-0, I knew there was something fishy going on there with that Bronco team. But those Spygate things didn't happen until 2010 anyway. Maybe McDaniels was just as good, and maybe the Broncos were just trying to sabotage it. Because I've heard there was a lot of reports about this. Steve Stagnadia and John Elway were never Josh McDaniels fans. They never really liked the hiring. The CEO was the one that hired him in the first place, the one that was above the Denver Broncos. And I got to be honest here about the whole thing. You want to know why they were never a fan of this whole thing? Because they questioned Kyle Orton. They didn't like the Tim Tebow pick. And they figured, because let's keep working with Kyle and see what he does. Because at the end of the day, It's really not Kyle Orton's fault they missed the playoffs back in 2009. It's not even Josh McDaniels' fault. It was a defense. They completely shit themselves in the end because they didn't believe in themselves. That's not McDaniels' fault. Not McDaniels' fault at all. But yeah. Also more NFL head coaching news here. Jim Harbaugh seemingly putting the rumors to bed about his pursuit for the NFL. He's a Wolverine at heart. He's not going anywhere. Is basically what he said. It's not really what he quoted here. I can't really find the quote in the moment. But this report was made out. This is through Newsbreak here. Most of my stories I get are through Newsbreak. I look at it as of what it is right now at this point. He was basically, he heard the rumors right now during the Paul Bear Bryant Awards in Houston, Texas that took place. Basically saying, it is what it is, but I'm not going anywhere. He's basically staying with the Michigan Wolverines. Basically what happened was that, he was questioned about it and he just shut down the whole thing saying, really? Do people really think I'm going back to the NFL? And honestly, he would. In fact, there's really two college football head coaches I prefer to see going into the NFL. Harbaugh once again, and Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is, I don't know what he's doing in Jackson State. I really don't know. I know he likes helping college players out right now, but this is beneath him. It really is. I think Deion Sanders would be a perfect candidate as an NFL head coach. And I got to be honest, I think he'd be good for the Las Vegas Raiders. You talk about a guy right now that's got some attitude right now and got some guts, and he's not afraid of backing down from anybody. He's not afraid of, he's not going to back down to anybody. I botched that one twice. That's why I had to say it twice there. But you get what I'm saying. The guy's got some attitude. He's got some guts. He ain't afraid of it. He's a former NFL player. You notice it's not a former NFL players that will coach today, except for Jerod Mayo, but he's really just the assistant head coach right now. But yeah, I just think Deion Sanders would be a perfect candidate. I just don't see that happening now at this point because it's really a long shot here. And you also hear about Jerry Rice, who says that Deion Sanders inspired him to be considered for a head coaching position. And I got to be honest, Rice, I think would be good, but he wouldn't be as good as Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders commands respect. He's not going to treat the NFL players like college players because that's what you don't want to do. And that's what every inexperienced college football head coach would do in the NFL. Urban Meyer's had an ego, and he was just willing to abuse his power, really. That's really when it came down to it. But anyway, that rumor was put to bed. Right now, there's been a lot of predictions right now of where certain players, people are going to go right now. I'm not going to really get to the list, obviously. I'm not going to have a lot of time to get into that one right now because I want to get into the little bit of news I just found out today about Kanye West. And Kanye West right now is tearing down his $4.5 million home across the street from Kim Kardashian and building a mansion. And he's doing it for the kids. But let's be honest right now. He's trying to woo Kim Kardashian back in. You can cover the kids scheme thing all you want. And the whole Julia Fox thing. I thought about it the other day. Because the guy still wants Kim Kardashian. It's still obvious. And it was a thing, I think it was shown on MTV or TMZ of Julia Fox all over Kanye West. They were hanging out with Antonio Brown. There was a variety of other people. I think Pete Davidson might have been there as well. And, excuse me, really the first thing that popped in my head was really how stupid this was. How dumb this was for really just how bad is it for Kardashian. I almost called him Kardashian Kanye. He might as well be a Kardashian. But really, I think this is all a distraction. If you had to think about what this is for Kanye, for people supporting him out there, all the weird things he's done in the past, it's all a distraction from eliminating from what's going on. He was funded. He was getting money funded from him by the Republicans right now at this point for tampering and scandaling to get into the White House here, really. But it just honestly for his presidential candidacy. He was getting illegal funding from the Republicans, which is why he is basically looking like a doofus almost every week. He's trying to he has egg all over his face, but he's hiding that story for this story with Julia Fox. Now, I don't know if he's really using the girl or not. I think it's stupid that he is. I think Julia Fox, they've got the same vibe as Kim does. Nice big booty, right? That's what Kanye likes. And Julia Fox, I gotta be honest. If there's one thing I will say about that girl right now is this girl to me was a complete unknown until Kanye West is starting to do it. She is a little famous. She's got her own podcast, I believe. I think she's got her own podcast. I'm not really sure. I've looked her up through social media. I could have sworn she was on a podcast with another girl. I don't know what it was called. But anyway, she's going to get a little bit more famous now, a little bit more attention. Because I don't think she's that interested in Kanye West. I don't think she is. I think she's playing it. I think she's playing it a little bit too much here. But it's nice, though, that she's got this for the kids, though. I will say that, though. It is nice that she's doing this for the kids, really. I mean, but it is to try to woo Kim back over. And really, that $4.5 million, where did that come from? Because think about it. The home itself is... And I will tell you this right now. If this didn't have this written all over it at this point, why this guy's got a mansion all of a sudden, it's the Republicans paying this guy. It's not for him to be a president. I don't think Kanye West really even cares if he's ever the president of the United States. I think he's pursuing it. Will he ever win over Hillary Clinton? No. Because the guy's got no experience in the political game whatsoever. And people can say that about Donald Trump, but I just think it's kind of stupid to say that Kanye West, the rapper, is going to become the president of the United States. Because he's a loose cannon, that guy. That's all I got to say. And he's really torn between Julia Fox and Kanye West. But let's be honest, I think Julia Fox is using him too. But at the same time, I think she does love the guy. I think he does. She does. But Julia Fox, I will say this though, a lot more attractive than Kim Kardashian. I think, just a little bit more attractive. I think Kim Kardashian's attractive and all, but she was fine the way she was. And she's gotten so much work done. It's almost like, really? It's weird to me. It really is. It's one of the weird stories of the week, I think. Just based on what I've seen and what I've heard. Anyway. The Kardashian clan, as far as I'm concerned, is crumbling from underneath. And I will say this about when Julia Fox started dating Kanye West at this point. I thought it was juicy stuff. I thought it was. But then I forgot about what Kanye West was doing with the Republicans and all that, and him getting funded money. Look, the Republicans are skeevy politicians. So are Democrats. So I'm not going to go on a political rant about the whole thing. But they've been going strong for the last 12 days. Kanye and Julia Fox have. That's been the story now going forward. This is the full story in of itself. Kanye West reportedly saying, quote, he wants Kim back despite Julia Fox dating him. They were going strong about it for 12 days. Our source close to Kimmy tells people that Kanye's with Julia. He's still telling people that he wants to have Kim back and he is willing to make appropriate changes to do so. Meaning getting more help, getting back on his meds. I think he's been off his meds now for a while. Which is surprising because I'm thinking to myself, like, how can he maintain this relationship with Julia Fox? Is he on his meds with Julia Fox? Who knows? Meanwhile, Kanye has no plans at this time to start a long-term relationship, though a source previously told People magazine that he views Julia kind of like his muse and loves her smile and attitude. I gotta be honest with you right now. I think Kim's gonna get Julia Fox the blessing here to date. I think Kim Kardashian wants nothing to do with this guy anymore. He could say they can change all they want right now. Look at Lamar Odom. Look how many times he screwed around. Or actually, I'm sorry, not Lamar Odom. Sorry, whoa. Tristan Thompson. Sorry, Lamar Odom was a sweet guy. Shout out to Lamar Odom, former URI Ram, or Rhodey Ram. So there you go. But Tristan Thompson, though, it's like Tristan Thompson. I mean, they say he's going to change. He's cheated on Chloe so many times now to the point now where he impregnated his personal trainer. That's pretty scary. That's really scary. It's almost terrifyingly scary when you hear the same crap and the girls keep falling back for it. Chloe falls back for it so many times because she wants to maintain it for the kids. I don't think she's really doing it for herself, really. But Kim here is smartening up here, like Courtney did with Scott Disick's ex. You know, they gave a blessing. They were happy for one another, and Scott got dumped, of course. But Courtney and then not Travis Scott, Post Malone or is it Post Malone? I can't even remember anymore. I try to keep track of these I try not to keep too much track of the Kardashians, really. But it's like, okay, like it is what it is. It's not really juicy stuff here, really, for me. But in this case here, it's like, whatever. It is what it is. I will say this, though. The Kardashian clan, as far as I'm concerned, may be crumbling down pretty soon because I just heard this particular story this week. And here are your celebrities this week that are getting sued over being sued over, and this is over the involvement in a crypto scheme. So it's Floyd Mayweather Jr., Kim Kardashian, and Paul Pierce among them being sued over alleged involvement in crypto scheme. This happened last Friday in New York. I just picked up the story as of this weekend, but this came out a couple of days ago. New York resident Ryan Hurge filed a class action lawsuit against several celebrities for promoting the cryptocurrency Ethereum Max and then selling it when prices increased. The lawsuit named celebrities Kim Kardashian, Paul Pierce, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. This may hurt Kim Kardashian, but I think she's a smart girl and she could win this lawsuit. I think, honestly, these celebrities get like sued for a lot of things, and usually the person gets a settlement here. In this case here, this kind of makes Floyd Mayweather Jr. look pretty freaking bad. Although he always looks bad in the media almost every time he talks. But, but let's be honest here for a minute. And Paul Pierce, since that whole thing with ESPN and him getting fired, he can't get out of his own way. I don't know what happened to this guy. He's picking random fights with LeBron James. He's telling ESPN to F off. He's not looking good with the Green Teamers really now, trying to get a job with them. Apparently, he was trying to get a job with them. This might just actually hurt his chances now of going on Boston, like Comcast Sportsnet. That was just a rumor, too. I'm not even sure he's even pursuing it. Let's be honest here for a minute. But the guy is a future Hall of Famer in basketball, but he is just hurting his cause. I used to look up to him and say he's going to be a good role model. He'll do great things outside of the NBA. And you know what he's done so far? He is living like a basketball player who's still playing basketball, who still wants attention and still wants the glory, even when he's retired. And that's a scary thing. It really is. I mean, he's supposed to be a role model. He's supposed to be a leader. He's supposed to be like one of these people to look up to and say like and get advice from all the stupid things they do. But he continues to do stupid things. And this cryptocurrency scheme right now, it's like the NBA with the defrauding the whole health insurance thing. It's not surprising. It's like the COVID fraud thing. You know how many people have gotten in trouble with that right now, and there's like no settlement coming whatsoever because they want this to go to a trial. This will probably go to a trial. This will not be settled because this whole thing. And look, I think honestly, you start low. You don't start selling high here. You don't ask for high prices right out of the gate here. But I'm convinced about this whole thing. With the other celebrities here that try to sell their stuff right now, they do sell a lot of stuff way too high on social media. This is just another example of it. I'm not sure what else to say here about the whole thing, but it's like it leaves me scratching my head. Because it's so hard to believe that these individuals would get involved in such stupid crap like this. Floyd Mayweather doesn't surprise me as much. Paul Pierce, he's heading down a raw, dumb path that he's not going to be able to get out of. Since he got fired from ESPN anyway, he's been doing dumb shit. This is nothing new with him, and this might even be the dumbest thing he ever did, honestly. And really, you know, for a Boston Celtic legend, and that's what he is, he just hurts his legacy almost every time he opens his mouth. And Kim Kardashian, look, if she's just trying to copy Kanye at this point and get attention for doing stupid crap, which is probably what she's doing, because let's be honest right now, he's dating Julia Fox. He's frauding the Americans out there and trying to make up for it by saying, hey, look, I'm no longer with Kim Kardashian, with Julia Fox. But let's be real here for a minute. There's not really a lot of big juicy stories right now going on with Kim Kardashian. They all know that the Pete Davidson stuff was just a bullshit act. Maybe at this point she should go get back with Pete Davidson, and hell, try to get with Tristan Thompson and Lamar Odom in the process. Because they can't do anything positive in the media and make people talk about them positively. But they always want to do things negatively and stupidly and make stupid choices. And Kim Kardashian has been known to make stupid choices. This right here is just one of them. And if you think about it, really, think about the porn stuff that she used to do a long time ago. Think about that very long sex video that she did of herself. That took about 2 hours, I believe. With that black guy, I don't remember what his name is. But you get my point. The girl's a little screw loose up there. She really is. And she still is. Like, what was she thinking with Pete Davidson? And I'm convinced that they hooked up during her episode, her monologue on Saturday Night Live this past year. That didn't surprise me in the slightest. So, I mean, I'm so convinced now that this is that she needs to go back to Pete Davidson. It's the only way to get herself out of this whole situation. But she probably will. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Pete Davidson anyway. Although Scott Dixon is not a big Pete Davidson fan, not a fan of him at all. You know, I'm kind of wishing the Kardashians actually never left their show, never actually left their show, and actually had an episode where Pete Davidson and Scott Dixon actually went at it. That I actually knew what would happen. And maybe that's why it happened. They figured, because I'm convinced of this whole thing too. They probably didn't want Saturday Night Live to be on the show. They didn't want Pete Davidson. They didn't want the girls Saturday Night Live on there. They didn't want any of them. Hell, Devin Booker didn't even want to be on the show. He was asked to make an appearance on the show. He said no. I don't blame him. You know, the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing kind of ruined the show anyway. And I think that's what happened in the end. Because Caitlyn Jenner did not want his kids on that show. At all. After the whole thing happened. Because if he's not on the show, why should they be on the show? Why should they get the glory? You know? Way to hurt your kids. Anyway. That's that. I'm done talking Kardashian. I'm done. I'm done digging dirt. I'm done digging drama. I'm done talking about drama when it comes to that family. Because it's mind-boggling, really. But I won't get into the COVID stuff right now. It's not going to turn into a political thing, but I will say this right now. The Marines grant a military's first religious exemptions to vaccination mandate. So they're not going to be told to get vaccinated. They'll still get vaccinated probably. They probably won't. They won't be told what to do though. But let me just say this about the vaccination in general. I didn't want to take it in the beginning, but I said to myself, you know what? If this is what I got to do to protect myself from getting this and dying at a young age, which I didn't think I was. And I was really protecting my mom too. It's my body. It's my choice. That's how I treat this. I don't want to be told that you have to take this or else. Like, I just hate how this is going right now. Like, everyone's just being told to take the vaccination, to take the third shot. We just heard the CDC the other day say how if you get COVID, you can walk around for 5 days in public. But here's my question. Wouldn't I just create more cases for the ones that aren't vaccinated? I'm just curious. If there's such a huge surge of this whole thing, which I don't think it is. There's not a lot of people in the hospital right now with COVID. I mean, I've asked around. Like some people went to the hospital this week. I asked them, did you have COVID? They're like, no. I just, I don't believe in this mandate of vaccinating people. I don't. I don't believe the mask mandate. I think that's ridiculous too. Walking around with a mask on your face, that's completely pointless. I walk around with a mask on my face, and the first 30 seconds in, my nose starts to run like a leaky faucet. Like the other day, like when I had a mask mandate, I was in New Hampshire. I didn't put on those little cloth masks. You know what I did with one of them? Because I had my ski mask on for skiing. Because I took that down a little bit, and nobody yelled at me. Nobody was like, hey, put it back up. Put the mask back on. I never got yelled at for it. They know it's ridiculous. But I did take one of their cloth masks and blew my nose with it. Because I figured I'm going to have my nose start running anyway. Let me just get the head started and start blowing my nose nonstop. Because that's what it was. It was nonstop blowing my nose. In fact, right now, I'm not having trouble smelling or anything like that. Or having trouble breathing. But my nose is like a leaky faucet. It's, one day it's flooded. It's probably just allergies of dust in here, maybe from this room. But you get my point, though. It's not COVID. I'm COVID free, everybody, and I got 3 COVID things to prove it. Heck, I may have even had it at one point and having antibodies. So if I get it, really, it's just gonna create. It's not gonna create like the killer antibody, which is what people are starting to not like. They're starting to realize it now. These COVID deaths are just ridiculous. But as far as vaccination mandate goes, what happened to my body, my life? What happened to that attitude? Everybody had that attitude with the Republicans when it came to the abortion thing. I know I'm not going to talk about politics on here, but think about it. It's almost comparable to this. You know how people didn't want to get abortions? They didn't want to, or how they didn't want to get abortions and they didn't want to have kids. And the Republicans were like, it's dead on set against it. This is the same thing with this. Walking around, like the vaccine card, I don't mind because it's like, here you go. You want to prove I got vaccinated? Here you go. I'm willing to stick it right in your freaking face and annoy you with it. Here you go. Here, see? It's like the guy from Family Guy where they take out a picture of his kids, like, hey, see my kids? See my kids? Like when he takes out the wallet and that kid's like, look at it. Look. It's like my cousin Michael. My cousin Michael used to do that to me and it drove me absolutely crazy. He's like, Joe, look, I gotta take something. Look, you get it, right? Like you get it. Like he's trying to have a conversation with you, but he repeats the same stuff like he didn't hear the first, like the first 15 freaking times. I remember that as a little kid. I'm like, oh my God, enough. And this is what it needs to turn into at this point. Because this is what they all want, the government. They want you to be like that annoying kid. It's like, look at my thing. See? They stick the freaking thing in your face. My opinion on this is this. I don't think people should be forced to take a vaccination if they don't want to. I think they have I think it's in their constitutional rights that they have to be vaccinated. I think the whole thing is ridiculous. I do. It's getting to the point now where we're going to force these things. Why? Just so the healthcare workers can go back to work and actually get paid accordingly, but see, they want to get paid more to make up the rulings, though, right? But if it's anything else, they'll get disappointed. They just want more money. They're making $75,000 for every COVID death they get, not for actually having the actual numbers, but for somebody to actually die of it. You know how stupid that sounds? Think about that for a minute. They died of this. Look, they should say they died of a complication of COVID, not the actual COVID death. Because they don't know how to explain it really. The truth of the matter is, as long as they get the money, they don't care how the person dies. They don't care at all. And this may be controversial for some nurses and some doctors out there, but that's the truth. And honestly, if it's our constitutional right of whether or not we want to get vaccinated or not. I just get vaccinated so I can go out in public again. That's it. I only did it for myself. I didn't do it for anybody else. Although I did do it for my mom. Because she's had a blood disorder. I didn't want to get her sick. I didn't want to take it in the beginning, but I thought to myself, at this point, why fight it? If it's the only way to get healthy, it's the only way to not get sent to the hospital and basically be put on a ventilator, even though you think you're fine. But we all know those ventilator things kill people anyway, it really just weakens your immune system too. You might as well have no immune system if they're going on that thing. You're bedridden on that thing. It's like being connected with an oxygen tank. You're in a bed. If you remove that, you're dead. If you remove the IV drip too soon after the person's in a coma, you're dead. It's the same thing. To me, this whole thing, though, with the Marine Corps getting religious exemption here, which I think religion thing is taking it to the point now. I think the reason being is it's a constitutional right. It should not be based on religion. My opinion here in this one is that you're stirring up a lot of I don't know if it's more controversial. To me, I think it is, because it's like, well, now they're going to ask for religion proof, where you can't really find it in a Bible saying, "Thou shalt not take a COVID-19 vaccination or be fully vaccinated." It's more of a constitutional right. The religious thing just covers it up here, because they don't want to get into a constitutional government politics conversation. Heck, they don't even want to even get a religion conversation. And I look at that and I say to myself, that is by far the dumbest thing this week, that we're getting vaccination mandates now, because it's the only way to end this whole pandemic. It's never going to end. No matter if everybody's vaccinated or not, it's never going to end. So people should just live with it instead of forcing a vaccination in someone's arm, or forcing it while someone's giving birth to a baby. That's what's stupid. And I think that whole thing is retarded. You notice how those news articles are never around anymore, though? They made sure they got rid of that information because they want to censor it. They want the Democrats want us to be brainwashed. Every politician wants you to be brainwashed. Look at Kanye West. He's turned into a politician right now. With the whole Julia Fox story, it's just a distraction. That's all it is. For one agenda, getting more money and not paying taxes. That's the story. I know I went politician mode on his thing. I know I'm talking about politics and this whole thing. It was not, although at this point, everything's political now these days anyway. And NFL game could turn into a politics conversation, for Christ's sakes. That's how bad this sounds. It is. There's no way of avoiding it. But my opinion on this right now is my body, my life. And that should be the attitude for everybody. And that should be in the Constitution. My body, my life. That should be a right in the Constitution. And I think it is. And Biden, up to this point, has basically said, screw the Constitution. At least Trump was willing to actually learn a little bit more about it during his presidency. But Biden, he knows about it and doesn't give a crap. But I look at the COVID-19 testing here in this whole thing. There shouldn't even be a need for this. You know what they should just do? Just say to them, it's your body, it's your choice. But in the end of the day, all these places are going to be asking for it someday anyways. It's not going to be a mandate kind of thing, but it's going to be based on their body, their life, their business, their policy. That's it. It's not going to be because of the government. It's going to be because of that person's choices. And I think a person should have a choice, really, on what they want to put in their body. Sometimes people choose to put heroin in their body and they overdose and die. Somebody puts fentanyl in their system from a pill they get from Snapchat. They die. That's their choice. That's their body. That's their life. This right here, unless there's fentanyl in these COVID shots, which I never heard any proof of, and I doubt there is, because the CDC would never pass that, although you can't really trust the CDC. So I just think to myself, is there really a point in all of this? Why is the government forcing this down our throats? I'm just glad the Marines had the balls to actually say, hell no, I'm not getting taken that. That's one. The Army will be next. The Navy will be next. The Coast Guard will be next. They'll all be next. And I'm telling you right now, use the my body, my life mentality. That should be a change starter. My body, my life. But it is going to be vaccinated, though, and stay healthy. I'm just saying. But I know I'm not going to tell anybody when to get vaccinated or how to get vaccinated. It's their body. It's their life. If they choose not to get vaccinated for their certain reasons, go ahead. That's it. But I say to those people out there, listen, if you're gonna go to a party, just get yourself tested afterward. That's all. We just want you to be safe. We don't want you to get sick. And really, honestly, just have some common sense. Like if you're drinking out of the same cup of Hennessy or Crown Royal or any alcoholic beverage, and you're going to get more of it, just wash the cup out. Wash your hands. Wash your hands after you touch something. Wash your hands if you went to the bathroom. Just wash your hands. It's really common sense, really. That's the only reason why most of these people get sick today. They don't wash their hands, and they rub their eyes in their face. Just wash your hands. Have some common sense. And that's really all I got to say. Because this vaccination mandate is absolute crap. I think now it's getting to the point now where this might be removed soon. This is not going to last. If this ends up lasting, it's for one reason. It's to get somebody else in office. But Kamala Harris was on the Today Show the other day talking about, and really just being rude to one of the interviewers. And the first thing that popped in my head was she really could have just said, yeah, we messed up, but we're going to try to fix it. She just can't take the blame for anything. Her ego will shatter here. But let's be honest right now at this point. There's no shot of her getting into the office now after what happened in that interview. There's no shot. There's no shot of her being the next president of the United States. And honestly, thank God. That's all we really need. So that's that. There's really not much else to talk about right now. I will probably circle back to sports just for a few minutes before I get off the air for a minute. Not really much happened in the baseball world, but baseball lockout talks were happening yesterday, and it seems like they're progressing a little bit, not progressing a lot. So, I mean, that's just been the word so far. There's not really been much to say here about this whole thing. Anyway, but the Oakland Athletics add Brad Osmus as the bench coach under Mark Kotz. They just signed his contract the other day. I think people already know about the former Red Sox and Cubs pitcher John Lester retiring. I think I mentioned that on Tuesday, but if I didn't, he didn't announce his retirement, and he's in a conversation for the Hall of Fame class. But I think I already did mention that. Yankees have a first female minor league manager, and Rachel Bolovich says she's living an American dream with this new role, and she's here to prove everybody wrong. And honestly, I like that attitude a lot. If that was her dream, which I think it seems like it was, then yeah, go for it. Fight for your dreams. I like that attitude. I really do. So I think that's awesome for her. Good for her. She deserves the job. She deserves a chance here in this whole thing. And I think that's what women should go after. Women should go after men's sport jobs. They should. Not for feminism, not for all that, but just to make a point, just to prove a point that they can run at something here. Running for president is a lot harder than running a sports team. It really is. There's a lot involved in being the president of the United States. Maybe that's why they wait for 35-year-olds to do it, because they probably figure that the younger people aren't ready for it. I know our generation is screwed, and they're never going to amount to anything, really. But people like this, though, for Rachel Bolovich, she's ready to make a difference. And if she starts from the bottom, works her way to the top of the majors someday, good for her. I think that will happen. I think that will definitely happen for sure. Twins honor the Jim Cat and retire his Hall of Fame pitcher jersey number 36, if they even have a season this year. There's no date yet of when they're going to announce it, but supposedly now it's going to take place on July 16th, which hopefully there's a baseball season by then. But it seems like it's, making a little bit of progress now at this point. Anyway, I like this story. MLB proposal does little to sway players. It's the players want more. When it really comes down to it, it's all about the money. And baseball players are so selfish as it is. Like everyone says it's the owners. It's the players. They're asking for too much as it is. They really are. There's almost a point now where it's almost downright criminal to ask what they're asking for. And the managers, and I think the owners just want to entertain the fans. They want to entertain themselves. I think it's good. They want something together. They want people to commit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Also, more news today. Team baseball prospect Elon Soto verbally agreed to join the Washington Nationals, sources say. This is according to Adrian Gonzalez, ESPN staff writer. He is the younger sibling of Juan Soto. So now he'll be playing with his brother. He was declaring his intention to sign with the Mets, but he basically pulled the wool. Gets booed. I like that. I like that a lot in sports. You got to have some fun in sports, whether it's at a freaking convention or basically, I'm trying to think of what they call those things, those joint press conferences. You got to have fun at these things. And you got to have fun on live television, at a pregame show. You got to have fun. You can't be broad. You can't be boring. You can't be vanilla. You got to be entertaining to do these jobs. You got to be entertaining just to be a player. You can't find one boring player in any sport whatsoever. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it. You can't find it. You can't find it anywhere. So, anyway. So that's all I got to talk about today with baseball. We did get a little bit of music in there. I don't know if there's any technology news. I doubt there is. Because I did mention there's going to be some music news in there or some technology news. I might as well just talk about some music news for a few minutes. Right? Might as well. Might as well get it out of the way. I'll put a little tidbit of music news in there. Yeah. Anyway, J-pop singer-songwriter Fuji drops a Kyrie remix EP. Jin Blossoms announced a tour for a 30th anniversary of New Miserable Experience. It's also according to the Rolling Stones. Sinead O'Connor admitted to hospital days after son's death. She admitted herself into a hospital because she was so heartbroken about her son passing away. And Janet Jackson, this came out a few days ago, finds it tough to talk about the Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction that took place in Super Bowl 38, where she was doing a performance with Justin Timberlake. If she is finding it that difficult 20 years later, and I gotta be honest, I mean, the whole thing of it is right now, if she's struggling with this whole thing 20 years later, it happened. People didn't even start talking about it again until they brought it up. It was almost like the most forgotten wardrobe. I mean, let's be honest. The time that it happened, I mean, my God, it was talked about for 5 or 6 years. But after that, it's like, okay, whatever. It's not a big deal. People actually forgot Janet Jackson actually did a Super Bowl appearance. Anyway. And this happened about 5 days ago, but Shania Twain congratulated Taylor Swift for breaking the chart record. This was according to the MN News. Last week it was reported that Blank Space hitmaker had become the female artist with the most weeks at numbers one of the Billboard Country Albums chart, surpassing the You're Still the One singer's record of 97 weeks. And she read the news on Twitter, accomplishing Taylor Swift's accomplishment by saying, "Let's go, girls." Yeah. But anyway, that was what she wrote. I like stories like this. Again, congratulations. That's all I got to say. Congratulations to that story. I like it a lot. It's an interesting story. Interesting the development here in the music world today. Good for them. Good for them. Pete Rocker's a lawyer saying why the producer may sue Nas over Illmatic royalties. This is according to the Rolling Stones, which was put out as of 2 days ago. And it says here, quote, "They're going to have to give us some accounting for us to know what's going on," attorney Leah Rosario Richardson says in a battle over 1994 track, "The World Is Yours." So they want royalties basically for their song, and they should. They have every right to this whole thing. They should have every right to getting, Pete Rock's lawyer, why the producer may sue Nas over it. The producer, I think, honestly, look, I think the producer's asking a little bit because they did help out with the thing. I think they should split the royalties 50-50. If that was what was promised originally, look, I wasn't part of that back in 94. In fact, I was born 2 years later. So I have no background in this whole thing. But I hear stories like this, and I think to myself, you know what? It is what it is. Back around 93, it was a hotly tipped teenage rapper assembling a murderous row of producers for his debut album. It showed up on Pete Rock's basement, basically in his basement studio in Mount Vernon, New York. And the pair started mapping out a song. Rock pioneer boom bop beats had helped out create the template for the 1990s New York rap style that already began to impress by the gifted rapper's previous singles. But when Rock queued up a mellow piano loop from the jazz legend Ahmad Jamal's 1970 song I Love Music, he knew he had something. So that was what the story is right now. I'm not going to read the whole article here. But if the producer did help you out, and you're getting a lot more royalties than he is just for producing the damn thing, just to make that rapper big, I just think the whole thing just sounds outrageously stupid. This report was written by Jason Newman, by the way. But other than that, there's really no other news right now in the music world industry. Going at it now for an hour, 16 minutes. I might as well find some technology news. I did promise most of you people some other sports topics. I did other than sports, really. Anyway, Apple removed the worldly clones from their app store. If only TikTok can be removed right now because people are saying that China's spying on us. But I feel like, honestly, let them spy. I mean, they already have Alexa having the government spy on us. They already have the Ring spying on us. Heck, they even have these smartphones right here to spy on us. So there you go. This is according to the BBC News right now about the Apple removing the worldly clones from the App Store. Multiple copycat versions of this were popular word games. BBC News found several similar looking games still available, however. A different game with the same name has been on the store now for 5 years. On Google Play, it's equivalent for the Android. The name is not believed to be trademarked or designed to be copyrighted. So that's the only reason why they are removing this whole thing, because Apple didn't do its research when it came to copyright infringement for most of these apps. You know it's an Apple app, which is why it's been removed, which is sad, really, because I heard that was a pretty damn good game, and I was actually gonna buy my Android today and play at a birthday party because I'll be like bored out of my mind, really. I probably won't be, but anyway. So that's the news on that one. That was written by Jane Wakefield, a technology reporter. And NASA explained why James Webb Space Telescope used salty lenses. That's an interesting story. Salty lenses help in creating infrared light, which is necessary for James Webb telescopes to function. Wow, I botched that one up. But anyway, you hear stuff like this, and you learn something new every day about salty lenses. It makes the lighting a little bit more infrared. I think that's interesting. This is also actually the full article here. As NASA completes all major the deployments of the James Webb Space cooling period, the agency is sharing some interesting facts about the 10 billion, roughly 74,100,000 core observatory. These include some lenses which are made out of salt, which is interesting. But why does an infrared telescope need a salty lens? In a new video, scientists working on the telescope shared why is salt vital to the Deep Space Observatory. And the James Webb Telescope uses not just one, but 3 kinds of salt lenses. There are various kinds of lenses. Mirrors are reflected lens which bend the light, but there are some that allow the light to pass through them. These second types of lenses are called transmissive lenses. For James Webb infrared light, which behaves differently than visible light, it plays a vital role. The key here is glass absorbs the infrared light, but salt does not. Narrator for NASA video says salts are more than something you sprinkle on your food, which is true. It's definitely a lot more than food you sprinkle on your food. I mean, it's definitely more than having salty French fries from places like Wendy's or Burger King. So there you go. A salt is a combination on positively charged element and a negatively charged halide. They get their charge from either losing or gaining negatively charged electron. The salt, we not only usually eat sodium chloride, but that is not the only type of salt. But sorry, I botched that one. I'm looking down too much too. Some other kinds are lithium, fluoride, barium, fluoride, and zinc, selene. I think I said what I need to say there about that article there. But that is a pretty interesting story for why they use lenses, really. And I'm not really a sciencey kind of guy. You're not going to see me do a lot of science project coverage on this one. I mean, I may cover more technology stuff like that, more scientific stuff in the near future on these podcasts. But you're not going to see me at a science fair with this podcast show doing a science project. I'm 25 years old, for Christ's sakes. But anyway, that is a great explanation of why they use those types of lenses on a telescope. And look, it makes it interesting. It does. It makes you want to know why. Though I think most of the people right now that will probably listen to this by the time this is done recording, they're going to be looking at this and saying, why did this kid talk about this? Because I'm trying not to bore a lot of people with sports, okay? I'm not trying to bore. I know there's a lot of sports fans out there. There might be some geeks out there who like science. So there you go. There's your science take of the day. There's your technology take of the day, too. I just did music for you and technology. So that's great. I also did some celebrity news. I also did some e-news gossip. So if you were planning on watching e-news later on, just listen to my thing on YouTube. Just listen to my content. That's it. All right, so I am signing off right now because I got to get ready for a birthday party to go to today. And I got to get ready for NFL playoff weekend. So for Let Us Interrupt You, I am Joseph Olivo. And yes, Michael Smith will be back with me next week. I'm sorry he couldn't be with me this week. I tried to get him to do Skype over the phone. It would have worked out better. There's people out there that use phones these days anyway to just do videos. Look at Fox News, for Christ's sake. Look at CNN. They have people who do interviews. Sometimes they use normal cameras. Sometimes they use well-produced cameras. And sometimes they use Zoom and Skype, either on their phone or their laptops like mine. My camera is not that great on this computer, obviously, but in this case, it is what it is. The original plan was for the show this week, the end cap the whole thing, was to actually have a show on Thursday with my father. I was going to have him on the show, but I was having some Wi-Fi issues, and there was really no point in doing it on my phone. And I just couldn't be able to figure out how to record on this thing anyway and actually produce a live video on this feed. And then I didn't have my selfie stick, which would have been a lot more fun to have. But it is what it is. So it was a normal schedule week. It is a lot earlier than usual I do this recording. This recording will be out probably by 11 o'clock in the morning, probably even later. So make sure you watch this thing before you watch the NFL playoffs, or before you watch E! News or Extra or Access Hollywood, if they want to talk about Kim Kardashian and then a Kanye West never-ending obsession love tale between him and Kim. Although I think now he just says Kim's name and where he's screwing with Julia. So there you go. I mean, that's the only thing I could come up with, really. But yes, Michael Smith will be back next week. I was gonna text him, but I doubt he's up right now. And even if he is, he's probably busy. In fact, I may as well text him. I'll let you know whether or not he gets his picks right next week, because I am signing off right now because I got to get ready. But I am Joseph Olivo. This is Let Us Interrupt You. I am signing off. You can subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Joseph_Edward_Olivo. You can follow me on Facebook. You can't follow me on Snapchat. It is J Olivo Sports 123. I believe that's the Snapchat name. I don't remember if it is. I barely even use the damn thing at all. And even when I do, it's mostly at parties. So there it is. There's your thing. My email, joeolivo, bostonsports@gmail.com. If you got any questions, you can comment on the video below. You don't have to subscribe for that. And if you want to subscribe, you've got any problems with the subscribing thing, let me just tell you right now, it's absolutely free. So don't worry about it. But yes, email me if you have any questions. Email mjsmitty97@gmail.com if you have any questions for him. If you want to know what his football picks are, if you want to know what his takes are in the episode today that I just did by myself, if he's going to watch this later on, which I hope he does, then yeah, do what you got to do. Once again, I'm Joseph Olivo, and I'm signing off. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Patriots. Hope you get the win. You know, I was in the unsure fashion right now, but I am sticking with the Patriots as my pick. Yes, I'm not going to pull a Lee Corso and change my pick last minute and pull out my Stephon Diggs jersey out of my closet. Don't worry about it, Patriot fans. I'm not betraying you guys. But I am hoping for a Patriots-Packers Super Bowl matchup, though. I am. And at the same time, also hoping for a Patriots-Bucks matchup. So stay well, stay safe. If you want to get vaccinated, go ahead. It's your body. It's your choice. Have a great week. See you Tuesday.